acceptance. He knows trust law. We're talking a lot about traveling right now, which is really exciting. So anyway, I know that's a side note, but I think it's just so important that, and this is why I want to make conditional acceptance relatable to everybody, because it's not just in this lawful legal sense, but it's in the real life things that we do. So even a proposal for marriage would be an offer, right? So I will accept your offer of marriage, if we never have children, or if, you're going to support me as a trophy wife the rest of my life at $1 million a month, I can say yes, but I can put conditions on those things. And that's where I think we get lost a lot, is failing to recognize that, a bill or a presentment showing up in your mailbox, that's an offer. It's an offer to pay something with Federal Reserve notes that's been sent to your home, right? And we tend to see these things as mandatory, even something for sale. So let's say I go to the grocery store and I see apples for sale for $3 a pound. Well, could I view that as an offer and then go in and conditionally accept the produce manager to buy in bulk if he reduces the price of those offers or those apples, right? Could that be an example of conditionally accepting the offer of something for sale? Right. It could also be something as serious as an insurance denial. So let's say you've been on disability and suddenly you get this, you're denied for whatever reason. Well, you can go back and you conditionally accept their offer to deny your insurance. And then when they're making that offer to you, they're making certain claims. And so it's our job then to go and rebut those claims and say, well, you're assuming that let's say if it's disability, right? You're assuming that my disability has changed in some way from the prior approval. And you can start knocking out all of these conditions under which you'll accept their offer to discontinue your insurance.
Right. And then you would do that as stated, their claims versus your claims, but you would make your counterclaims under oath, and they'd have to address them point for point, basically claim for claim or counterclaim for counterclaim under oath. So there's
in an affidavit. Yeah. So I worked with people this summer, and again, on another serious note, I guess, of the way that I've worked with conditional acceptance. I worked with people all summer over the mandatory thing going on, right, with their jobs.
Everybody getting stabbed.
Yeah. And I want to be very careful with my language, right?
Say they got stabbed.
Yeah. So, so many people were told in order to keep your job, you're going to have to get stabbed. And the employer is actually making so many claims when they're presenting that offer to you to continue to keep your job. Like one thing, for example, is that they are changing the contract. And in terms of a contract, you can't just unilaterally change a contract. And some people were coming back to me and saying, well, I never signed anything for my employment. I don't really have an employment contract. And then again, to take it to more of maybe even like the casual side of it, is that you had at minimum, you had a verbal contract with your employer, and it did not involve an experimental stab. So, at minimum, that's something you can fall back on, let alone, telling your employer, yes, I'm happy to take the stab. Are you going to take responsibility in case something happens to my health? Are you going to take responsibility for my family? If I die, I'm happy to take it. If I were to die, the condition under which I'll take it will be that you pay out my family $10 million. And to start putting these challenging the presumption that even it's safe. And the point would be that they would have to come back and point for point, agree to each of those things for you to be able to then go and take it. And guess what? No employer will. No one will take that liability at all.
Nope. And for those of you who are union members or casual workers from union members, Basically, the union is your business agent. So they have already, they went and negotiated on your behalf and entered into these contracts with these different clients, i.e., vendors. And in those contracts, clearly, the HIPAA is involved in that. And if you don't know what HIPAA is, go Google that, and you'll know what it is. But basically, your medical information cannot be divulged, and they cannot direct you to go get some type of medical procedure because it's not part of the contract that was negotiated in your behalf. I personally am going through this because I am a casual worker for a union, and I can't wait, kids, because I got them. When I go get copies of those contracts and it's not in there that I got to go get stabbed, guess who's going to get paid? Me and my bros who hung together and didn't go get stabbed. So,
There you go.
all you out there, I would advise you to go download the lawsuit that's been filed in the World Criminal Court concerning the jab. Get it, print it out, save it, and use it as a template. So when you're ready, you can go do that and have an attorney do it. If not, do it yourself. Do it pro per, not pro se. You want to do it proper.
Well, the thing I love about doing the personal administrative process or the private administrative process is that you don't need an attorney. It's something you can completely do on your own and have an agreement, right? So it even leads up to at the very end when you have that agreement and you've provided notice after notice, you can go then and lien that CEO's home. And when we were doing these letters to hospital CEOs and the different levels, like 3 or 4 people. So even the union is supposed to be on your side. This is not acting in your best interest, and their job is to act in your best interest. And that just was not happening across the board. So not only were we sending letters to the CEOs, we were also sending them to the union heads and holding them accountable. So when we would start out our letters, so I had sent this to you. So when you're going to start your process of a conditional acceptance back to somebody, we're having people print out their emails. So, or if you have a bill that you're going to send a conditional acceptance for, let's say you have a late fee and you can challenge something as minor as a late fee with a conditional acceptance. Show me, bank, that you have had and establish a loss. If you can establish a loss, I'll happily pay this, $25 late fee, right? That could be a very simple conditional acceptance. So let me ask you, have you gotten a letter or an offer for getting the stab?
From an employer?
Yeah, because you're saying you're going to go to, I'm sorry?
Yeah, that's actually in Houston. If you want to work in any of the theaters, i.e. Hobby Center, Jones Hall, Wortham Center, if you want to work for any Live Nation event, you have to be stabbed.
Okay.
If you want to go to a concert in a Live Nation venue, like the House of Blues and 713 Music Hall, they have several venues. You have to be, you have to show your little passport or, proof of testing or, that you've been stabbed. So, yes, I do have them. And when it was required, they sent me an email. I emailed them back that, I'm not trying to commit suicide. It like basically sent me back, well, good luck working. So, yeah, I've had the offer.
Okay. So I'm going to walk you through the 4 responses and also walk you through receiving that offer. Okay. How does that sound?
Okay.
Okay. So your 4 responses are the first 2 acting in dishonor. So saying no would be argumentative, and that's acting in dishonor by just saying flat out no.
Right.
Right. Second response, just the silence or the acquiescence, and that in law is also acting in dishonor, but ultimately it ends up in agreement. So for example, this is what banking notices would be, or a default in your loan, that sort of thing, right? They give you 30 days to respond, and they let you know that after 30 days, if they don't hear from you, then the debt is legitimate and you have an agreement with them. Same idea. If I send you a notice and I don't hear back from you, I'm going to assume that you agreed. I'm going to go ahead with that agreement. So next two responses are acting in honor. So one would be the unconditional acceptance. My son comes in, Mom, can I have a hug? Yes. He just made me an offer. And I will unconditionally accept that offer to give my child a hug, right? The next one would be, me being presented with an offer with that conditional acceptance attached to it. And that's really where you get into a lot of fun. That's where you can hold people accountable. And that's where you can work out the agreement in favor for your interest, right? So you receive this email. This is what I would have done. I would have printed it out, and then I would have taken it and written conditionally accepted across this. And this is what we've been training people to do who are having this issue with their employer. Then I would have written a letter. I would have written a conditional acceptance letter and said, yes, dear employer, I am happy to get the shot. I'm sorry, the thing. if upon proof of claim, I'm sorry, upon proof of claim that, that it's safe, that it's not violating my religion, that I will not have future health consequences, that this guarantees me work between today and retirement. And in each of these, you're giving levels of liability, right? So at the end, then you would have, so your letter would offer, acceptance of the offer, and then the conditions that you're willing to accept that offer under. And I've seen people do really ridiculous ones, and you can make it as fun or as serious as you want to. Even when we were doing this with people who had mandatory testing, you're actually giving part of yourself when you do the mandatory testing, and people are being asked for disclosure. So we were coaching people on how to talk to your employer when they're saying, are you vaxxed or not? So the response should be, well, can you provide me a list of your STDs? Or can you tell me the ways in which you're going to protect me from not just the C word, but STDs and Ebola and HIV? I'm happy to do all these things that you're asking me to, but I also need to know that I'm being protected on the other side of all of these other random diseases that could potentially come into the workplace. So throwing it back at the other party and saying, you're being ridiculous, I'm going to be ridiculous right back, is kind of a powerful place to be. And there's actually someone who did this using an attorney in a court system, where they went back and the employee said, I'm happy to go and do these things that you're asking me in prevention of a disease I'm probably not going to get, but because we're equal under the law, under our contract, I'm going to ask that you protect me from these diseases because they're equal concern to me and my health, which I thought was brilliant. And he actually won the case. So in this letter, getting back to how you're going to format this letter, you're going to give them an amount of time to respond. Typically it would be 10 days. And then you're going to tell them what an acceptable response is. So you're almost guaranteed not to get the acceptable response, but the acceptable response would be, let's see, I got distracted, sorry. The acceptable response would be a point-by-point affidavit from the other party. So they would have to rebut each and every, condition that you just listed. You're also going to let them know what constitutes an agreement. So you're writing back to your adversary saying, if I don't receive a response from you on what I've said is an acceptable response, we have an agreement. So you've got your offer that you're printing out and you're writing conditionally accepted on in a big red pen. you've got your letter of conditional acceptance, and you've got a third-party certificate of service. Do you typically use a third-party certificate of service when you do your doc?
I do have a procedure that I use, that I have a notary go through each instrument, and I have a list on the certificate of service that has a jurat on it that lists the title of each instrument, which is clearly labeled on each instrument, and the notary will initial on that line that that instrument was indeed included in that package for my certificate of service.
Awesome. I think everybody should do this. And I highly advocate for it being in your packet. So your packet so far would have 3 things in it. It would have the original offer, whether it be a bill or, that letter from your employer. It would have the conditional acceptance letter, and it would have that third party certificate of service. Now, if you wanted to, you could also throw in an affidavit, but just the bare bones, that's what you would include. I recently talked to someone who regularly goes before, he goes to court fairly often, and he does taxes. He works with taxes. And he was telling us that he has had more often than not, companies go back and state that they have not received mail. And the only thing that would have saved some of those cases would be if they had the third party certificate of service. Otherwise, your adversary can say, well, yeah, it didn't, maybe something showed up, but it was an empty envelope or an empty package. So that third party certificate of service can really be a lifesaver in something like this. So let's say 10 days passes and you have no response. So we want to be full of grace with our adversaries. You're going to just repeat the first step that is up on the screen right now. So you're on your second step now after that 10 days. Right. Basically what you're doing is you're repeating the first step, and you're going to write, what did I have on? Can you scroll up? Lost my concentration again on that doc.
Well, let me ask you this. You're mentioning 10 days. You created that 10 days and you set that term and condition. Actually, it's a term. It's part of the conditions. It's a term of time. So most people can set it, anywhere from 72 hours, which is 3 days, which is, lawfully according to most state and federal laws. And you can, you can increase it up to whatever length of time you want. I wouldn't get out of hand. But definitely do not leave them an open-ended offer where they can take forever or never answer it, because you did not set that term in your conditions.
Yep. Okay. That's why it's important on that last part, after you stated all of your conditions, it's important on that last part of your letter to really state your expectations on what an appropriate response is. So you're going to write second notice just on a photocopy of that first set of documents you've sent. And then you're going to include a fee schedule. So the fee schedule could be something like, if for every set of documents I have to send out, I'm going to charge you $500. It can also be a statement of damages. So let's say I do get fired because of this situation. Well, I might take my yearly salary between now and my retirement years, add that up and have that be part of my damages of my fee schedule. Or let's say you want me to do testing, and that's something that I'm really not going to do. I'm going to make that fee so high for my employer or for the other party asking for that it will actually be a significant, like, either I'm going to make some really good money off of doing nasal swabs or there's an example of a fee schedule. So that should definitely be included in that second notice that goes out. So let's say another 10 days passes because you've offered a lot of grace to your adversary. At the end of that, you're going to send the default a notice of lien. And the beauty of this is that you've already set the stage. You've been full of grace for almost a month now, right? And you're going to base your notice of lien around what the other party's property has to say. So I'm going to go, for example, to the CEO's and find the CEO's property, which we actually did this with the hospital CEO in Kentucky. And if you had been smart, he would put everything in a trust, or we wouldn't have been able to find it. We just looked up his house, and we found that his house was the same price that this woman had liened the house for, which is, was that her, I'm sorry, not her lien, but her default notice was, because she ended up losing her job. So we went in, we attached that property to our notice of lien, we defaulted him. And as soon as you drop that default in the mail, you have an agreement, and you're going to start to enforce that agreement. You want to check with the county that you're going to place this lien with and find out what they need to satisfy the lien. So what you need to do and what you're responsible for, so you don't just swoop in and put a lien on your adversary's property, but that you're doing it with the guidelines that are set forth from the county. So again, when you're giving them that default on that notice of lien, they could turn around and write you a check and create remedy for the damage that they've caused you. They have a choice, right? Or they can ignore it again and you just keep on going. So this process, what I love about it is that it's full of grace. It's full of opportunity to really make things right with the other party.
Okay, so
and then
let me backtrack a little bit for our audience.
Yeah.
Now, when you say you go to the county, generally most people know about the UCC-1 financing statement filed in the Secretary of State's office. But however, you said go file it in the county, file the lien there, kind of like a mechanic's lien, which are filed in the county level. And there's various other liens that you can file in the county. So if you're filing into the county, do you file in the county of your residence? Do you file in the county of the CEO as you described, or can it just be in any county, or does it have to be in the county where the actual event or whatever happened?
No. So what you're doing is you're finding their property.
Okay.
So I'm going to find
Dallas,
wherever.
Texas.
Yeah, but I'm going to go to the county for Dallas, Texas. I'm going to find out, your address, your plat number, the parcel number, all that information. And then I'm going to find out the rules of your county. And I can do that here sitting in Kentucky. I can find out all that information, right? I'm going to find out what the rules are for Dallas area, and then go in and place my lien based on the rules that are set forth by the county. By that county.
All right. So you'd go to the real properties division for the county clerk to file these?
Yes. And what is, I do believe that some good things have come out of this new world in which we live. And most documents that you need or want recorded, you can mail in. So you're going to essentially do a recording. There's fees attached for people who don't know. There's fees attached to do a lien or do a recording with the county, and you would pay those. You'd include usually a cover letter, and then you'd state your claims and what you're attaching those claims to. So that seems like a pretty good way to go.
Yeah.
Now, the interesting thing about a lot of the people I've worked with is that they got up to this last step, and despite having every standing in the world, people were really scared to go through with that last step of the lien. So I believe that
the last step what's the last step?
The last step in actually filing the lien. People got scared.
Okay. Well, now, do you have to do a public notice that they're in default?
No.
So that's not part of this process, because there's, I don't know how many different private administrative processes out there.
Yeah.
Some of the ones I've done, you have to do a notarial presentment, publish it in the newspaper, for 3 consecutive weeks, once a week, and then get the affidavit of publication. And that's the affidavit of publication is what will be the final step. And I've done this, and I actually have done the private administrative process. And that particular, because it's a contract, it accrues $1 million a day, every day.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's been doing that since 2014. So I've completely
Neat.
done the private administrative process. I just haven't done the final step.
Yeah. See, it's that final step.
Yeah, yeah. I've done an informational filing with the UCC one. Totally
Yeah.
informational because I didn't want to violate the law. But here in Texas, it's a 3rd-degree felony for filing a fraudulent lien. So I didn't want to step over and get in their sandbox and get my leg bit off by the ferocious lion. Um, so yeah, in doing this process, we do run across neat people. Uh, let me stop sharing my screen so y'all can see. I don't know if you can see that because of the glare. You can't see that, can you?
Mm.
There
Oh,
it is.
Victoria Faye Chambers. Okay. Real Property Division. Okay.
She's the director of the Real Property Division
Okay.
for Harris County. Her and I have spoken at length, as you can imagine. And we're good buddies. She knows exactly who I am. All she has to do is see my instruments and just open it. Oh, yeah, I know who that's from. That's from that Floyd Pleasant Tarvin guy. So,
But
yeah,
see, I think that's how it should be. We should know the people in our county because we should be actively using the recording system. They should know who we are.
well, Harris County has an issue with filing a lot of these instruments in this process that we do.
Mm-hmm.
So, I actually sent, and I'm going to do a video on this eventually to show you guys how to do a private confidential mailing to an addressee. Okay. So basically, you're double enveloping it. You're sending the outside envelope, registered mail, USPS. And when they open that up, usually it's the clerk or the receptionist for the mailroom, etc., because they have these buffers in between these people. And they open it up. I've got bright fluorescent labels on there, private, confidential, for addressee only, all rights reserved, special deposit by special appearance. And then it's addressed to the county clerk. Well, somehow my mailing didn't get to the county clerk. It ended up in the Real Property Records Division, and the director wrote me a letter, and the letter was clearly prepared by a clerk. So I'm thinking to myself, well, that's mail fraud. They opened up a private confidential letter that wasn't addressed to them. Then they gave it to this person. This person probably didn't even know what the hell was going on, and they just answered it. So they've inadvertently jumped in this illegal chain of events. But so let me call her and kind of explain to her where she's at. So she needs to understand or overstand her lawful and legal position of
Mm-hmm.
where she is and what she should do. So once I, broke it down that, you have an official bond, and according to that official bond, you have an official oath. Pursuant to that official oath, you have to uphold the state and federal constitutions. So let me go back and let me read you what those constitutions say. So when I go back and I read them, what the Bill of Rights are, that, hey, I'm guaranteed a life, liberty,
Mm-hmm.
and the pursuit of happiness within or unalienable rights. So because the county clerk is basically the courthouse, okay,
Mm-hmm.
they cannot stop or prevent my meaningful access to the courts. That's a
Yes.
violation. That's another one. I didn't even bring that one up. I just made it real basic, real simple. You have a bond, you have an oath. This is how your oath works. Here's some Title 18 federal criminal codes that you guys violated.
Mm-hmm.
Here's some RICO statutes that you violated that, if I really want to dig, I'm sure I can, bury you guys. But let's not do that. Let's just open the door and allow all these people who want to file these instruments lawfully and legally, like y'all are supposed to do, make that happen. So what I did is basically put them on notice, put them in check,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
nobody, most everybody goes in there. Oh man, they wouldn't file my documents. What do I do? Well, go to the next county. You might find somebody friendly over there that'll file them for you. And I did the same thing, but after doing this last filing, and what I'm trying to do is claim my minor estate,
Mm-hmm.
because I have a process here in Harris County, and you can print the application out right on the county clerk's website. Application in motion to to access minor funds from the court registry. That's the name of it. So they're telling you flat out that, boom, they've got your account.
Yeah.
And every time you go to court, they consider you a minor because you haven't gone
Mm-hmm.
in there and told them, I'm age of majority, I can handle my own affairs, I'm the beneficiary, give me my shit.
Yeah.
Nobody does it.
Yeah.
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 So I'm like setting them up. I'm playing chess with them, and we're gonna see what happens. And yeah, I sent it certified mail. And she says, just call me and give me the certified mail number so I know to expect it when it gets here. And so some of y'all seen some of my work. I do everything by archival binding with the eyelet at the top corner, and I drape 100% pure silk purple ribbon in it, and then I put my gold foil on there and emboss that, and it's a package deal. So on the other one, I did a cover letter, explain everything to her, and then put all the Constitution articles and amendments and all the statutes and codes, and bound that together, purple ribbon, boss stamp, gold foil stamp, sent it all back. Still haven't heard anything. That was last week, and I'm real interested to see how that is because I made a presentment. I made him an offer.
Yeah.
But
Well, this is
once we get off this, I definitely want to work with you because of that the contract that I did, and basically, kind of explain to him what happened to me. I told you that in 2014 they took my property. Remember, when I was in prison?
yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
so they gave me confiscation papers. So I filed they have a two-step grievance process in Texas
Mm-hmm.
prisons. So I did the step one and I turned it into a contract. Of course, I put the notice to principal doctrine in there under restatements, second, section 3, and put my terms and conditions in there. Gave all my property a fair market value and told them that if they didn't, return everything or cut me a check or, give me something in fair market value, they're going to start accruing damages of $1 million a day.
Mm-hmm.
So on the grievance, they have a little box over here in the bottom left-hand corner, and they can check these different things. It's grievance not acceptable for various reasons. So they could have done an out and not signed it. Well, this awesome assistant warden signed it and gave it back to me. So I did the step 2, and I did that as a notice of fault and opportunity to cure and contest.
Yeah.
And bless, I don't know if it's a her or a he because it's named Tracy, but bless Tracy for signing that, agreeing to it, and sending it back to me. So those, I've just had those sitting there. I've done the private administrative process, with the 30-day invoicing,
Mm-hmm.
and then the affidavit of truth and notice of default. I did the notarial protest and did the publication, and I have the affidavit of publication. And this whole package went to Governor Abbott, Ken Paxton, the Attorney General, I believe it, Ruth Hughes, who was the Secretary of State, the whoever's over state risk management, state comptroller, board of pardons and paroles, chairperson, director of the board, TDCJ, the director of TDCJ Correctional Institution Division, director of risk management, uh, two people who sign both instruments, um, risk management division. So this thing went out to like 25 different people.
Mm-hmm.
And I know they have issues. They don't know they have issues. They have issues. So I've been waiting patiently for somebody like yourself who's done this successfully, who can just like, okay, Floyd, you're there, fall down.
So what's your next step? Like, you have all of this done. Number one, so two questions. Number one, what's holding you back? And number two, what's your next step?
Number one, what's holding me back is the state of Texas and TDCJ are extremely retaliatory. They don't like people stepping on their toes, getting in their business, telling them the law. Like I told you, they took out Texas Business Commerce Code out of every Texas state law library because of me. So I'm still on parole. Admit that. I'm a convicted felon. And I don't want them to revoke my parole and put me behind bars, because I don't think there's anyone out here capable enough to assist me or to completely understand the process to continue with whatever it is that I could get power of attorney to. You follow me on that?
Yeah.
It's like I was explaining to you why when I was on the WIN unit, I didn't want to leave because I was doing all these people's legal work, and there was nobody I entrusted to say, here, do this, and, don't lie to the guy, blow smoke up his ass and take his money, and do nothing for him. So as always in this process, and people are hard to find that walk in honor, good faith, and with clean hands at all times with integrity. And that's what I try to be about my entire life, every relationship that I have. Even when I'm dealing with the county clerk and the real properties division director, I told her flat out, I said, look, this is nothing personal. It's nothing against you. I understand that you've been trained to follow policy, and they don't teach you what the laws are that govern what you're doing. I get that. I understand that. However, I'm not trying to burn a bridge or do anything. I want to build a relationship, okay? Because somewhere down the line, we're going to need each other. So I always tell them that, and I always throw that caveat in there so they understand that, this isn't an adversarial call, and we're not at war. We're not arguing. We're not battling. We're creating something. This is something good that's going to happen, because not only am I trying to reach my goal, but I'm educating her on what is really going on. I break them off, the whole birth certificate deal. I said, look, you got a certificate of live birth? Most of them, well, go home, look in the bottom left-hand border and see what it says. Banknote Corporation of America, or American Banknote Corporation. I'm like, what? I'm like, look, just trust me. Go home and look. If that doesn't open your eyes about what's going on, I can't help you. I can give you some more clues. You can go watch my videos. Hopefully that will. But anyway, I just try to establish those relationships. So once we do this video, I need you to come push me down.
Okay. All right. But here's the thing about the recorder's office. These are two things I keep talking about with people. Number one, they aren't there to judge our documents, and I can't trust even that they are trained well enough to be able to look at my document and determine which category that should go under, or if they can record it or not. Like that is on me. And I'm coming and saying, I am paying for the service at my county. You don't need to give me feedback about what's on this piece of paper. Your job is to go and take it. and stamp it and put it in the book and page, right? But I think that people lose sight of that, what our role is in this. And I get the whole relationship building. I've contemplated, I live in a very small county, like it's just not big at all. You can like everything in one room. So the DMV is in the same room. All the recording. It's very interesting to me. It's very, I just moved here 6 months ago. So this is a very new sort of small town thing, but you can literally stand in there and wave to the like 6 people that work there and they all do the same thing. Anyway, I thought about bringing donuts. And so my point is, I like your idea about relationship building. I think that's really important. and I think that it's also important to get that educational piece down because yeah, you can go and hop to the next county, but should we have to? I don't think so. I think that they need to do their job.
That, and I live in Harris County, Houston, Texas. I don't know if it's the third largest city yet, over Chicago, but we're getting close. And we have a ton of people. So when you go to the clerk's office, whether it's district clerk, county clerk, usually you have to make an appointment because it's so crowded. Yeah.
Definitely not the case here.
Yeah, because I live in Northwest Houston, and I can just 2 seconds, I'm on 290 heading west towards Austin, and in about 30 minutes, I can be at the Waller County Courthouse. And I've met a judge, the clerks, it's just real small, compact. If anything notarized, I can go right into the judge's office and have his secretary notarize it for me, and then walk right back down the hall to the clerk's office and get everything filed. Yeah, so it's all in one building, real small, real quaint, never crowded. I think I had to wait one time, and that was like one person in front of me. So it does pay sometimes for expediency to go to the next county. If you need something filed, file quickly. Or if they're just a little bit friendlier and they're not going to give you static about filing anything. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I think.
Oh, and by the way, remember I told you when they kicked me off that unit, they sent me to the next one, and they took the rest of my property? Well, of course I turned that one into a contract as well.
There you go. There you go.
Well, I have 2 of them.
Well, see, here's what I want people to understand, that the conditional acceptance can be in relationships. It can be very simple. It can be a letter, just almost like a dispute letter for like I talked about that, overdraft fee or a bank fee that you don't want to pay, right?
Right.
Or it can be very complicated with the binding and 15 parties that you're sending it to, or it can be anything in between. And that's what I think is really important, because this is a life skill that people need to have in every aspect of your life. From that relational aspect of, no, you can't eat the dinner I just made because it's on the counter and you're hungry.
Well, everybody's been doing it all their life. They just don't understand the levels of it. You say steps. They don't. They just don't. They don't know the lawful and legal terminology of how it applies beyond your everyday interaction with society. That's probably well apt. But
well, I remember before I started, looking at these processes, just feeling very stuck. So if I had gotten, let's just go back to, a fee, right? Oh, well, you told me that it was a fee, so I'm going to accept it as a fee. And I guess it's a fee that I have to pay. And now that I've switched my brain around to think that, this is an offer or an opportunity for me to change my circumstance, there's so much more power in that. And people just don't realize how much power they have. And it's very liberating when you are able to look at things as like a contract, in terms of, if I'm in a contract, if you and I have a contract, you can't just unilaterally change the contract on me. You can't just unilaterally, up fees on me. But you and I have to have a meeting of the minds. That's part of what a valid contract is. And even when people were masking at work, that was a change of contract. To get the stab is definitely a change of contract. So going back and looking at all these things, well, when I was hired, or when I talked to somebody the other night who has homeowners fees that are being upped significantly per month, and go backtrack. Did you even sign a contract with the homeowners association? Number one, what's your agreement with them? Number two, number three, did they say I'm going to increase it by $100 every 6 months, or that we're going to increase it by a certain percentage? Because just sending out, oh, this is a blanket statement of an increase in fees is not a, it's not coming together and doing that in a fair way. And we've just been trained and conditioned to accept whatever crap comes our way a lot of the time. And it doesn't have to be that way.
Program.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't need to be a long drawn out process. It's just, it can just be a one-page letter. It can be very simple. We're binding with ribbons.
Right.
Can I tell you what I was really disappointed about? I got my my federal authentication back, and it just has that binding that's like the hole punch with the grommet.
Yeah, the island.
And I heard that there was ribbon attached to it and these beautiful things attached to it, and it wasn't. I was like, oh, this is what I've been waiting months for.
Yeah, it's not about much.
No. So spoiler alert for anybody waiting for that in the mail. It's not a super fancy thing when it comes back.
Nope. Okay. Anything else you want to go over on the conditional acceptance? Are there templates? Are there forms? Can somebody go to a website and get these, or like Scribed or someplace, or is that trustworthy?
Well, I think so. I think that part of it, like we've just talked about, there's so many variations that as long as you have the things that, we just kind of went over in that letter, as long as you're having that original offer that you're conditionally accepting, as long as you have the letter of conditional acceptance, and then you have the third party certificate of service, that's basically, it only includes the tracking number, each document listed out, and a signature of the witness and having it dated. That's sufficient enough to have witnessed something, So if you just even do a bare bones something like that, I think you're good to go in most circumstances. You can definitely go to different websites and look up how different people have done it. I have seen an example recently of, I know that you've looked at this one as well, where someone that we both know has put together one that has maybe 15 recipients, and it's like 50 pages long. That's not necessary to come to an agreement with your adversary. So really, I think the power is also in making it your own. So you could copy and paste, mandatory JAB conditional acceptance, but the power is really in your own. Like, what would be the conditions under which you would actually go get that and make them as ridiculous as possible? So, yeah. But my website is commonlawconversations.com. So if you wanted to go and check out some of the work I have there, the first page says start here, and it will guide you through the different things based on, your interest level. And then we have a great blog with some exceptional writing about different ways that you can live as a private person and really utilize these methods to protect your family and do things that will really protect you. So.
Are all these free, or do you have to purchase them? Is there a package? Oh, they're free.
Yeah.
Wow. Imagine that. They're free, folks. That should tell you everything right then and there.
I have nothing to gain. And that's the beauty of being able to help. Well, really, to really be able to help people. I think you and I have seen way too many people that will come out here and offer like half advice or enough to get you interested. And then you go to their website and they want $1,000 for a half hour of their time. Yes. The carrot. So anyway, Yeah, no,
Well,
here
cool.
we are.
What was your website again? So now that everybody has a pen.
Commonlawconversations.com.
Commonlawconversations.com. There you go,
That's right.
everybody. Write that down. Put it in your browser. Go check it out. Um, Now, before I get on to the next topic, if y'all really like Arica co-hosting my show, y'all leave a comment down below. Okay? Y'all think she's better looking than me? Leave a comment below. I'm pretty sure there are going to be a bunch of those.
Bunch of those.
All right. I'm going to get off topic here. And this is something that came to me as an epiphany that I received information from somebody. And I'm going to do a video on it. But
Okay.
I'm just going to read it real quick. I believe you and I went over it. I just have it on my phone, and it's a screenshot from somebody. So I haven't found it yet. But anyway, if you're applying for a credit card, I'm not endorsing anybody or advertising for anybody. Let's just say American Eagle Outfitters. And I believe they use Synchrony Bank as their processor. So somebody was going through the application prompt to digitally apply for this, and this
Mm-hmm.
is what it popped up. By continuing, I am affirming that I have read and agreed to the consent to electronic communications, confirming my acceptance to receive communications electronically, and authorize Synchrony Bank to obtain information from consumer reporting agencies to determine if I am pre-qualified for credit. I understand that if pre-qualified, I need to accept the credit after and complete the application process. Please note you are limited to 4 pre-qualification attempts per day. After your 4th attempt, any future requests will not be accepted for the remainder of the day.
4 attempts a day at
Yeah.
applying for a credit card?
Well, apparently to apply for the pre-qualification, if you're putting in insufficient or incorrect information, and it's
Oh, okay, okay.
so you only get 4.
What?
It's a
Okay,
security
got
issue,
it.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
But the next paragraph says, and this is in bold letters, authorization for the Social Security Administration to disclose your Social Security number verification. And then in regular print, regular font, it says, I authorize the Social Security Administration, SSA in parentheses, to verify and disclose to SYNCB in capital letters, which is Synchrony Bank,
Mm-hmm.
which could be a stock ticker symbol,
Mm-hmm.
possibly. I don't know. I have to go look that up. I just got this today. I was processing it in my head. Actually, at my chiropractor when I got this epiphany and kind of startled the therapist. It's like, Jesus Christ, God damn, oh my God. Can't believe they're doing that right in front of our face. They're telling us. So anyway, Synchrony Bank, for the purpose of this transaction, whether the name, social security number, and the date of birth I have submitted matches information in the Social Security Administration records. My consent is for the one-time validation within the next 90 days. And then it has a little link bar you click on to see if I pre-qualify. Now, what this does, when you click that, you're authorizing Synchrony Bank to create and file a Social Security Form 89. And y'all can Google that. That's a SS89, I believe. I should have it right here. Yep. SSA 89. And you can just pull PDF off right on your phone. And what that instrument is titled is Authorization for Social Security Administration to release Social Security number verification. Now, in this, you put your printed name, your date of birth, your Social Security number, which are the three requisites they just asked for, okay, in that little click box. Now, the next box says, reason for authorizing consent, please select one. To apply for a mortgage, to open a bank account, to apply for a credit card, to apply for a loan, to open a retirement account, to apply for a job, to meet a licensing requirement, or other. Okay, so let's break this down for a second so everybody can easily understand them. Hopefully this will give us a good segue into another video. So what I did is I got this epiphany. Social Security Administration. And what is that? It's a trust. It's a trust established by and for our benefit. Okay? Schedule, conditional acceptance. All right. Now, this is Social Security website. As you can see right here, ssa.gov. Summary. Accrual status of Social Security trust funds. Okay? They're telling you right there that this is a trust. And what your trust full of? Securities. And how are those securities to be used? In your social welfare. So let me this trust definition. This is trust. Firm belief in the integrity, ability, of character of a person or thing, confidence or reliance. The condition and resulting obligation of having confidence placed in one in which confidence is placed. Okay? That's basically what your trust is. You're having confidence that that trust can take care of what it's supposed to take care of. Security, freedom from risk, danger, safety. Freedom from doubt, anxiety, fear, confidence. Something that gives or assures safety. Okay? Social, of or relating to human society and its modes of organization. Social classes, social problem, a social issue. Of relating to rank and status in society, social standing. Of relating to or occupied with matters affecting human welfare, social programs. Okay, kids, they put it right there in your face. They don't hide this. They're telling you flat out. We just overlook it. Social Security Trust. This is your trust. You should have access to it. But what we're doing, she'll tell you, she'll back me up on this. We're giving permission to Synchrony Bank by clicking that little button to go in and raid our Social Security Administration for our own credits and call us, because we're the dumb imbeciles acting as the straw man, the all capital corporation that's dead, as debtors. We don't know how to access our credit. Correct?
Yeah, but the stinky part is that they have the power to deny us our own credit. And once we've authorized, we've opened that door, they can go and dip and we would never know. So another example of where all the power is being held by one party in a contract.
Yes, that would be an adhesion contract.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where one party favors over the other, and the other has no opportunity to counter or supply terms and conditions. Yeah, adhesion contract.
Yeah. So I know that you and I have both looked at systems for once those windows are opened, to be able to have the open-ended credit and different things that people in our groups are talking about. And just as an idea, one fun topic might be to go through all the ridiculous ways people are trying to go about finding remedy to getting the Social Security accessing the Social Security funds, because there's some wacky stuff out there. And not that we found anything that really works today, but I don't know, it might be kind of a fun list to go through and compare.
You know, it may be as simple as a letter.
To who?
To basically a third party interloper, is how it would be lawfully described, because what you're doing is giving your power of attorney authority over to a third party to interlope into your own personal financial affairs by giving them permission to go into this to your social security account
Mm-hmm.
and do whatever they want with it. When in reality, it should be the opposite. They should be begging you to come do business with them as the creditor to barter and trade your credits for their goods or services. So, would it be a simple
Mm-hmm.
letter to, let's just say you have a American Eagle Outfitters card? I don't. No endorsement. So you would do a letter to them, and you do a letter CC Social Security Administration, and you would cut that off, take out that third party interloper, or you would turn that card or that account into, like you said, an open ended account, because then you would be taking them out of controlling how the financial process is conducted behind the scenes, when you
Mm-hmm.
actually should be conducting it and controlling it and saying, Social Security Administration, I need you to send $1,000 to American Eagle Outfitters via Synchrony Bank, as opposed to American Eagle Outfitters going to Social Security Administration going, okay, we just sent this guy $1,000 worth of stuff. You need to give us $1,000 out of his account.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty
Well,
much
I think that you'd have to answer a few questions. So if you look at it like a trust, who
mm-hmm,
is a trustee in that situation? So you have yourself, you have the bank, and you have Social Security Administration. So if I were to look at it, it would be me as a beneficiary, the bank as a trustee. So they've got to do the work, and they have a fiduciary duty to uphold my best interest no matter what. Like, that's their job. And then the grantor would be in this scenario, the Social Security Administration, because they're the ones providing the assets to fund that trust relationship, right?
right.
So I like to put it very simply. So I don't know, I might be inclined to look at it that way, and to me as a beneficiary then go and write Synchrony Bank and say, you've just opened up a you've established a trust relationship here, and as a trustee you should not be benefiting, especially above and beyond what the beneficiary should be benefiting, right?
Right. Everything's prepaid exempt from levy,
Mhm.
allegedly. We have the
but
full
then,
faith and credit of the United States.
but the other thing is that you could look at it and say, okay, well, would the treasury be the grantor in this situation? And I don't know, just I think teasing out who plays what role and then holding them to that role in the trust.
Why can't we appoint them to that role? Why do we have to ask? Aren't they public servants?
Well, yeah, but if I'm talking about specifically the role of me applying for a credit card,
Right.
there's implied roles when you apply for a credit card. And so depending on how you want to look at it, if the trustee does the work, then the trustee would be the bank going and having to work out how those funds are going to work out, right? And I should only be the beneficiary of my own credit.
And the issuer, the grantor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that. So that's something we're going to have to chase. All right. Now, what do you know about trust?
I've been learning.
You've been learning? Okay. Well, you
Yeah,
haven't
I got my
mastered it,
flashcards.
but okay. Well, I mean, I'm trying to, kind of give everybody
Yeah.
a little background on what your knowledge is and where you're at, and where we can
Oh,
go.
yeah. Well, actually, trusts for me right now are a big deal. I'm following I don't not quite sure about how he exactly goes about his name, but Noble Bruce. And he's been just very educational He's just so smart. And so I feel like I follow him and I'm trying to figure out, okay, I kind of understand what a trust is, but he just takes it so next level. So what I'm looking at right now is I've set up one foreign trust. I'm going to be setting up two more. So one for my husband and then one for our family. And I'm going to be putting everything into those trusts. I'm following a lot of example on how each trust should feed each other so that you're having your holding company and you're having as many layers between yourself and your assets as possible, but still, that idea of owning nothing and controlling everything. So I'm learning that process right now, and I'm going through and diagramming out how each of them should be set up. And I think really diving into, people want a trust set up, but they don't know exactly what they want. And this is one of the things I've learned from Bruce is that you have to know what you want. So are you looking for only asset protection? What exactly do you want? And I think that's hard to define when you're early in the game, because what are you looking to protect? Because that's the point, right?
Yeah. I don't even think people know how to ask themselves that question.
I know. And that's why I think it's important to sit down and really diagram out what your goals are. And then how is, if I have three trusts, how can they ultimately protect me and my family and all of our assets, and will also allow me to continue to have access to my assets. I know we talked about some of the things that at least I believe are coming down in our world. They're going to be difficult for us. And part of my hope was that in having a trust, that it may enable me to better able, number one, protect my assets, but number two, access them. And so that's something I'm really looking into right now. Got my flashcards going for trust information, and it's so deep that anyway, I've way over answered your question, but I'm that's an area of study for me right now.
There is no bad information in this. There's only bad people.
but people need to know, like when you talk about a trust, you need to know what a domestic trust is, what a foreign trust is. You need to know what the role of the grantor is, and can a grantor and a trustee be the same thing? Well, in a revocable trust, they can, but in an irrevocable trust, they cannot. So how are you setting this up? And can your straw man play one part in the trust? And can your natural man play another part in the trust and have a complete trust? Because if you're playing too many roles within a trust, it will collapse. So anyway, this is the whole like chess game that I think we all need to understand, because we all are going to come up on a pretty tough situation here as we see our world change.
Yes, we'll never go back to the way it was. Have you done a name change through the courts?
No, I've not.
Okay. I'm currently working on that process with at least one other gentleman, if not two, to do a bulletproof name change process that, once completed, you shouldn't have to do anything else. You shouldn't have to file anything else. Everything should be taken care of with just this one instrument. And we're still finalizing exactly what's going to be in the name change and in the decree, as well as the process, because we want to do identification cards that have a QR code on the back, that when it's scanned, it'll automatically pull up the copy of your name change decree. And the power of the name change decree is it's, of course, it's signed off by a judge.
Yeah.
So you're in, when you're playing in their sandbox, it's, hey, one of your guys signed it. There it is right there in black and white. It's not like I'm kidding around. And they can pull it up on their device. So I think it's something that once we complete and get done, that it will streamline a lot of things for a lot of people without having to do all this other, the processes and the alleged just results of those processes is freaking mind-boggling. I
Yep.
probably have every one of them either printed out or stored somewhere in this computer on Dropbox Mega, probably email attachments, Google Drive. Yeah, I mean, I just have gigabyte after gigabyte that I don't have time to open and look at. It's
Yeah.
sad, it's sick. Uh, so what I'm trying to do is streamline it and get all that to one thing, and I think that we are really onto something that will benefit everybody worldwide because you can do it anywhere,
Yeah. So here's my question for you then, for people who aren't familiar with the name change.
right?
Number one, um, what are you changing it to? Number two, what is your goal? Because you can talk about this name change, and you and I may know what that means, but for
Yeah.
someone who may not be familiar with the concept, so what are you changing it to? And what are you hoping to accomplish?
Okay. When you were born, a corporation was created by the county or the municipality where you were born, and that's your all capital name, which is a straw man. That's corporation. That would be your full name. So once that was established and created, and they did the certificate of live birth, and it was registered, Regis, okay, into the crown. It went to its parent company, the United States Inc. from, in my case, the state of Texas Inc. And they created a secondary corporation or trust, and that would be your name with a middle initial. That's why when you have to do all your tax forms, they want your middle initial, not your middle name, because you are accessing into their trust, not your state trust. So what we're doing is when we do our name change through the here in Harris County, be through the family courts, family district court, we are doing a petition as well as following the decree that we create ourselves because it's much simpler here in Texas than it is in Florida. Each county is different, but here they're pretty similar. In Florida, basically, they want your background report for the last 20 years. It's obnoxious to even read it, much less try to apply for it. But what we're changing it to is proper grammar, is what our parents gave us that name. And for all these people who, and this is my own opinion, who are changing their name from, I'm going to use my own as example, Floyd Pleasant Tarvin L the fourth, or Floyd Pleasant Tarvin Bay, or something like that, and you're changing it from the original certificate of title that they've set the trusts up in. So my own personal belief is, why would you want to go away from your assets? Okay, those are your credits. That's your trust. Why are you trying to change all that? So what you want to do is change it back to proper grammar. And of course, no male has a middle name. If you have three names like me, I have Floyd Pleasant. That's my first name. I have no middle name because middle names are reserved for the female gender for their maiden name. So when my daughter gets married, her middle name will be Tarvin. It'll move from her family surname over one, and then she'll adopt for
Mm-hmm.
her husband's family name or surname. They could even hyphenate that, which is like a real big thing now. Or she could just open up the family Bible and they could get joined that way and not join their corporations through the county and state and have to go through a court to get their corporations dissolved and the assets divvied up. Go through all that child custody and maternal and paternal support and all that crap. So, basically, you're changing it to proper grammar, the way it was written out on your birth certificate issued by the hospital, which your parents named you. What I call the King's English or Queen's English would be a capital F, lowercase f l o y d hyphen capital P l e lowercase l e a s n t colon double space, not a single space, double space, capital T, lowercase ARVIN, and then capital I, capital V for the fourth. And that's what I'd want to change it to. Now, in that petition decree, we're going to state certain things, and they're going to be similar, but you don't want an order, you want a decree. And then when that judge signs it, he's going to be agreeing to everything that you have in that decree. So basically, you're making them an offer. They're going to agree to that offer, and they're going to sign off on it, and you're going to get everything you want. Now, here in Harris County, they're doing Zoom hearings, and I just did one in August, and we were waiting to do our Zoom hearing longer than it took to actually have the hearing. And the hearing was, and I'm going to say, are you there? Yeah, we're here. Okay. They called out the docket style and docket number. Yeah, we're ready. Okay. Well, why do you want to change your name? Honor my mother, my father, my creator, and to correct the record. All right, granted. Y'all have a nice day. That was it. Just like that.
Easy.
That's all it took.
Wow.
Screen went black.
Wow.
Wow. So, my suggestion to everybody is get while the getting's good. Don't delay. So, we're going to work on this. And of course, I've been tied up for time. Hopefully, we can get it knocked out this weekend. Have something presentable for everybody to use. I know some of the jurisdictions are more difficult than others. So we're going to try to find some methodology for everybody to utilize, so the expediency will be as valuable to you as it was to us. Without saying anything.
What are your thoughts on some of these? I mean, cut me off here if you'd like, but on some of these groups that I know you and I are both familiar with. Okay, we can talk about this another time.
Okay. Well, which one do you want to talk about? There's, at least a dozen of them active out there right now.
I thought you were cutting me off. I was going to go with the cutoff.
Smart pipes.
No, I don't know that I want to mention any, but I know that there's one group in particular that is now offering healthcare within their own group, and it's nation of this particular group. And they have a membership fee, and they've got banking established now, and they've got flags. And I know that you and I have been in a group together where it's been discussed and advocated for, which is different than the assemblies I know you've been involved with. So do you have any, I'm just curious, I want to pick your brain about this. What are your general thoughts about people establishing these nations and getting people engaged? It's not necessarily, this particular one isn't necessarily one I would be inclined to join. But I see the benefit in how they're able to come together and offer private things as a group, but also establish their own nation. And they've got then their ID, and they've got their driver's license, or they've got their license plates and different things like that.
Okay. I don't have a problem saying who they are. This is by no means my own personal endorsement. I imagine yours as well. All we are is discussing entities that are out there that offer various services, basically, right? Okay.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah. And this forum is not to berate, belittle, provide any negative publicity or even positive publicity. We're just having a discussion about what these things are, what our own personal experiences are, or what our knowledge is about them through other people's experiences that we, have firsthand knowledge of.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
as again, everything I do is under oath. I always say that. I say it if I need to. Uh, and if I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know. I'm smart enough to know
Yeah, yeah.
that. Yeah, I know you are as well. That's why you're co-host. If I needed a crash test dummy, I'm sure I can line those up and just go one
Okay,
right
you
after another.
can.
Yeah, that's not what I'm looking for. Well, we can
So,
start with we can
okay,
start with the
I didn't know what your guideline was with that, so I'm careful.
well,
So one would be like the Nation of Malachi that Hailraiser runs.
okay,
Um, and then I can't remember the nation of the other one, but it's Don Kalam, and he has a whole nation set up where you can go and get, you can buy packages, right? Where you can
right,
get your ID. And I watched a video with Don Kalam where he actually does a whole tax exempt thing. And so he's gone through fast food showing his tax exempt ID from his nation and doesn't pay taxes wherever he goes. And it's just, these are really interesting concepts to me because, again, like I talked about with the conditional acceptance, sometimes we forget the power that we have. And I see these different groups really saying, no, actually, we do have power and we're going to exercise it in this manner. Do you have any thoughts about kind of what we're seeing in terms of some of these nations being set up?
my thought on that is that we should, and I've looked into this and I haven't followed through with it, that we should be able to create our own nation.
Yeah,
Because
that's
we are
essentially what
our
they've done,
own,
right?
yeah, we are our own estate. If you've
Yeah,
created your own flag and established yourself, shouldn't be any issues with it. Getting recognized, um, and I was discussing this earlier with the guy that I'm doing the name change with.
hmm
He, not to get off topic from your two guys, I'll make sure I get this correct. Okay, I'm going to cut this off in a second.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, I'll email it to me.
Well, maybe we can think about some things that you and I might be able to talk about in the future, because I think that you and I both have enough experience in this kind of world where we have different perspectives and maybe even different things we're trying to accomplish. And I think that um, there's everyone, a lot of people are all over the map and just
I'll tell you
questioning,
what.
what?
I'll tell you what. Let's just do a video on the different groups.
That'd
That
be
way we
interesting.
can address them each one by one.
Okay.
We'll make a list, and this goes for every single one of them out there. The gurus, the patriots, the
Yeah.
wannabes. Yeah, we'll do a video on that. Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
That's perfect for our next video. We'll just go
Okay.
into that and start addressing, what we know, what are the
Yeah.
facts, what's out there, what people are out alleging, what their experiences are. But to close this,
How to spot a bad leader. Okay, sorry, I had to go there.
yeah.
Okay,
Uh,
but in closing, thank you so much for including me today. I
yeah,
really
hang on,
appreciate
hang on. I pulled this up. Uh, you heard of the American Nationals? AmericanNational.com?
it. I don't think so. Is that one that you pulled up in your Anna video a couple weeks ago?
No, that's the American State Nationals, the Federation. That's Anna's deal. This one's totally separate. I thought this was David Straight's group. Apparently, it's not. But the gentleman that I'm working with on this name change had done this. They gave him an ID. They gave him plates. There's a QR code on his ID. Uh, there's a QR code on his license plates. He's been pulled over, and they pretty much Have a nice day. Gave him a warning. Um, Never been messed with where he lives in his jurisdiction. Uh, and he didn't really think about it until today. He was like, hey, I wonder if that had something to do with this, because we're also going through the passport, the do not detain, do not interrogate, do not stop.
Yeah.
So, of course, you can't get any law enforcement officer to run your credentials to find out you're on there. They're just like, oh no, we can't do that. We can't do that. Which they actually can, but they do. They just don't want to. I think something happened. I don't know what that is. Uh, but anyway, we're going to get on to that. So let's make our list of who all the gurus are, and the patriots, and the wannabes, and yeah, and the schemers, and the scams, and the con artists. The ones who talk a good game.
Yeah.
Do you want any personal emails? You just want them to come to me, and I'll forward them to you. And
yeah, just come to you.
Okay. The Fearless Floyd Show at yahoo.com. If you like the video, like it. If you like her better, like it twice. Share this video.
Well, thank you for notification.
You're more than welcome. Hey, man, this has been a blast. We're going to do this much more often and have a blast with it. Maybe we can do this every day. That'd be pretty cool. Just set a standard time. Even do some live stuff.
That'd be fun. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Hey, do you have a Facebook page?
I'm setting it up now. It is the Fearless Floyd Show.
Okay, there we go.
I was actually doing that earlier. While I was sitting in the chiropractor's office, I was like, working on it. So I've got to put some videos on it. But I have the Fearless Floyd business page, and I thought that's what I was setting up, but apparently it's not. So I'm kind of illiterate in that aspect of Facebook, but I'm not a Facebook guy because, Facebook is the and if you don't know, you should know by now.
Yes.
All they're doing is gathering your data.
Yep.
Facial recognition, iris, voice, everything. All your family, your pictures, where you've been, what you do, what you like. Yeah, they know you better than you know yourself.
Yeah, especially when you do that 10-year challenge thing that they have up right now.
Yeah.
Just make sure that you can go back to those. Oh, what was it? The MySpace years.
Right? Yeah. Exactly. This is what I look like 10 years ago. This is what I look like today. So they can already do an age progression of what you're going to look like in 30, 40, 50 years out. Yeah, so I try to stay away from Facebook as much as possible. I definitely don't want to post any images of myself on there anymore. I just mainly hit it up and kind of mess with people every now and then, or put music stuff on there. That's my gig. As you see in my videos, I got music interspersed in there. I actually have tons more videos than I could put up on there. I just don't have time to deal with it. So with that, thank you everybody for watching. I hope this has been educational and informational to you, and you learned something, and that you can share this and within your own life and with other people. And again, I want to thank my gorgeous co-host Arica for joining me. And y'all let me know how y'all like her, because I really like her. I think I've had a blast with her. And I think it's much more entertaining, much more fun, educational, having a second opinion. Because 2 heads are better than 1, folks. All right. Thank you, Arica. You have a good, safe, healthy night. And I'll talk to you later in the evening. For everybody else, thank you again from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Bye.